happy holidays to all our wonderful listeners as they tune in for a new holiday episode of the Cup Duet Reviews brought to you by Cup of Hemlock Theatre. I am your host and co-artistic producer, Mackenzie, and I am joined, I think we actually worked this out before camera, again in a duet review, but not since Transcendence. It is the wonderful Jillian Robinson. Hello, Jill.
Hello, Jill. It has been a while since you and I have done a duet review. You are right.
I know. We've done editorials. We've done other panels together, but you and I have not done a duet review in a hot minute because it just happens that, schedule-wise, it usually works out that if it's like a Wednesday night opening, then you and Ryan will go, or if it's, you're busy working, then we'll, adjust things around and I will cover up. So it's like, we just have never had the opportunity there. So
yes,
now we're back. We're back.
And we had a splendid night at the theater.
We did. We had a fun holiday outing. And Jill, what are we discussing today?
We are discussing the new holiday musical, Christmases. It's happening right now in Toronto at the Winter Garden Elgin Theatre. Mac, do you want to talk a little bit more about it for us?
Sure. So this piece is marketed as a Hallmark style family holiday musical, and it definitely lives up to that wonderful Hallmarky holiday movie feels. It even includes real or fake snow at the end blowing on stage. It's a big holiday extravaganza. Now that Ross Petty has retired his pantomime, the venue was open for a new holiday show to come in. And I will say, I think this is a show that will have some legs because I've been humming the tunes all weekend. Like even though I don't know all the lyrics, there's the one of a Christmas da 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 da, but ba da 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 da. I'm like, okay, so they got some good melodies in here. Or I want coal for Christmas. That was another fun melody to be humming around. So the show stuck with me. So it did its earworm duty, we should say.
And this is an original, we should just say for all of
the
viewers,
it is
original Canadian musical. Yeah, written by Matthew Stodolak and Katie Kerr. So the two of them did music.
And Katie also directed this as well.
Yes, yeah. So it's really
she directed
lovely.
It and it was choreographed by Sarah Vance.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, lovely to see this. I know that this musical has kind of been in the works for this duo. And so it's lovely to see an original Canadian musical as always. And then something holiday-esque to kind of kick us off for all of our celebrations.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we will have a proper spoiler sheet that will go up in this. So we will cue you when the spoiler shield will go up and we'll reveal what that is momentarily. But Jill, give us your first overall general impressions of this show. Like, what did you think of this new holiday thing? Would you want to take your little niece and nephew to see this show?
Totally, I would. I think, first of all, I'm going to do a brief intermission about my ensemble.
Oh my goodness, Jill, Mac
we're going to do our... I know. It's okay. We slipped on the ice rink, and we're going to go back to do the icebreaker.
Correct.
That's a tiny spoiler, so stay with us. Yeah. So before we dive into, I'll give a little synopsis and my overall impressions. But first, I'll just share my ensemble today.
Yes. What is your ensemble?
Yeah. So I have my little Christmas earrings. These they're ornaments. Okay. Because also in the show, there's, as you can see behind Mac, if you're watching on YouTube, there's Christmas trees, lots of decorations happening throughout. And then this is my holiday turtleneck that has stars, presents, candy canes, and also ornaments. And then I've got a smoothie going. I think this is the first time I've ever had a smoothie on the cup, which is neat.
Yes.
And it's heat activated, so it's red, so Christmassy. And then I've got some water.
Love it.
Mac, what are you sipping on before we volley it back?
Well, I have my usual grapefruit tangerine Crystal Light that I am sipping on.
Amazing.
And I am trying to channel the Mr. Cross energy and Vicky energy.
Oh,
of
nice.
This. I mean, my sleek blacks and grays.
Amazing.
Versus your more holly attire of holiday red.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Okay, so jumping in, we've mentioned Holly, we've mentioned Ben, we've mentioned Vicky. So just like a brief synopsis.
What is this show, Jill?
This show, So essentially, and I'm sure a lot of folks have been saying this, but it kind of is a Hallmark movie on our lovely Toronto stage. So you have our main character, Ben Chris, and he is, behind Mac there, if you're watching on YouTube. He is like a high-end exec guy. And so one of the opening shots we get. It's the intel into his busy business life, and he is dating Vicky, who has just been the face of his company in some shape or form. And
He's a
sort of
social
we get
influencer, but he's also widowed.
Yes, exactly. So we figure that out later on. But Ben has 3 children, Claire and twins Samantha and Sam. And the 3 of them and Ben, the whole family is going to Ben's family lodge for the holidays. And we get the impression that this is a holiday tradition that they visit this lodge. So yes, so we get to the lodge. We find out that Ben's brother Charlie is sort of running the lodge, and Holly, who's also pictured behind Mac there, played by Danielle Wade, she is an employee of Charlie's. So kind of classic execs go out to the country. They're still stressed with their jobs. The kids are wanting to celebrate the holidays. Ben is frazzled
the kids
with
don't
work
like
and stress.
The stepmom to be. It's very Sound of Music-esque, where Holly comes in as kind of the Maria von Trapp, and then you got Vicky playing kind of the Baroness.
Exactly. And so
woman role.
So the main plot, Holly kind of tries to turn Ben's sad heart to the holiday spirit. Again, I don't want to give away too much, but we have some side plot actions going on.
With
Claire,
Candace, who's
the
like
oldest
the personal
daughter.
assistant.
Yeah. So first off, I'll talk about Claire, the oldest daughter. Has sort of like a side teenage romance sort of budding. And then, yes, we have Candace, who is Ben's assistant. She kind of has a little bit of a romance and a character arc in her as well. And then the end ends again, like most holiday movies, where there's a lovely sort of community connection. Those who have their comeuppance get their comeuppance. And carols are sung, love is shared. And that's what we want to end on, that sort of like vague sweep.
Yeah. If you've seen a Hallmark movie, you may know where it all ends up.
Yeah, exactly.
And also from the image and behind too. You notice that Holly's there and Vicky is nowhere to be seen.
Indeed. So so my overall impressions, I thought it was so much fun. Like such a warm, lovely, again, first of all, any original Canadian musical I always get so excited about and for, because we have been little sister to the States and England since the dawn of time. So anytime we sink our teeth into original works, I'm elated. And I thought this was like such a fun night. The performances across the board were absolutely stunning. Like some of our best singers on our Canadian stages are a part of this cast, hands down. And the lyrics, I thought they honestly, as like a massive standout to me, I would say lyrics and costuming. So lyrics, stunning. Like, so the rhyme, the kind of like slam poetry-esque moments, the rhymes, the specificity, I thought was very well done, paired with the music. Like Mac was saying earlier, like there's definitely some earworms in here that are going to carry beyond the holidays for me. And then, again, another little shout out before we get into the nitty gritty. The costuming was done by Kathleen Black. So Kathleen Black costumed Rocky Horror when I was a part of that production in Hart House. And also she costumed Legally Blonde at Hart House as well. And Kathleen is such a force.
The Christmas dress that Candace wears is just incredible. That Christmas
It's just
dress.
So great. And I just thought the palette was stunning. Like you had your Christmas plaids, you had your greens, your reds, your sort of silver and gold accents. And you could just, Kathleen pours so much love into her costumes, like individually for each character. And even like the lodge ladies in their sort of metallic ski wear.
Yes.
You could just tell there was so much love and effort put into those costumes, and the cast embraced them as well. So those are my little micro shout outs and overall impressions. Mackenzie, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, once again, we'll get more into the nitty gritty after our spoiler shield goes up. Generally, though, I had a great time out at the theater. I mean, this is marketed as a Hallmark style musical, and it lives up to that branding. So, we'll get more into details about that and my thoughts about that post Shield. But I would say in general, like, this is a fun family musical. Like, like there's lots of stuff coming into Toronto, and it's a lot of Mervish tours that are, they're great. I mean, 42nd Street's in town right now. There's there's another show I forget on at the Cannon.
Ain't Too Proud is on right now as well.
Yeah, Ain't Too Proud is on as well. Six is on. But I would say this is one, if you're going to take the family out to, this is a good choice because 42nd
Yeah.
Street's a fun dance show, but you know, it's a lot of dance. The songs are okay. The material's a bit dated since it's almost 100 years old. You know, so there's some material there that you kind of would have to dance around there. Six is, you know, it's a history musical. It's fun. It's poppy, but Ain't Too Proud's another really fun show too. But I think this one, if you're looking for a good holiday outing for the family for this holiday break we have coming up, this is
Mhm.
a good bang for your buck. It's reasonably priced. The cast, like as Jill said, they're singing to the high heavens. There's some great character work being done here. And, you know, you'll come away with that family holiday love. And I mean, the set too. I mean, oh my goodness, that set, the way they were also minimalist, but also had a lot of use to like
Yep.
create the different areas of the lodge. We're great in set design was by Corey Sansis, is who I want to say it is. Uh,
Sincens, possibly. Apologies,
yeah,
Corey, if we're
yeah.
mispronouncing your name.
Sorry, Corey. You were terrific, though. You're set with the way you covered, like, doing the big tree at the end.
Mhm.
And then also, like, the cabin lodge with the stairs at the back, like, just giving people levels to play on. And
Yep.
even just details like creating the walls for the ice rink, I think were all so
Mhm.
lovely and so well done. So I applaud that there. And yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, Jill, before we give a spoiler shield, do we want to give any particular cast shout outs to anyone? Is there anyone you wanted to shout out just in general before we got
I think
deeper
we can dive in.
into
I feel like
the
we're
hot
we're
chocolate?
teetering. We're teetering a spoiler alert zone. So why not we'll include our cast
Yeah.
comments inside the spoiler
Great.
zone,
Okay.
I
So
think.
before we head into there, the show runs
Mhm.
until I believe December 31st, Jill.
Yes, correct. December 31st.
Perfect. Awesome. And then just go over to the Elgin Winter Garden Theater website. You can purchase tickets there and come
Mhm.
on out for a great holiday outing. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, you're going to get exactly what you're looking for, a nice Hallmark style musical. So instead of watching Hallmark repeat movies on TV, bring the family out downtown and you'll be able to see a live Hallmark musical on stage with lots of joy, laughter, and just broad fun.
Indeed.
That's what I'll say. All right, Jill, let's throw up that spoiler walkie talkie. Holly, can you hear us? We're giving some spoilers out.
Over and out, Mac. We are in the spoiler
Yep.
zone.
Thank you, Five Golden Rings.
Five golden rings. Love it. Yeah.
Because
Um,
for now the spoiler shield's up, that joke is a reference to the fact that all the people in the walkie talkies have code
yes.
names that are related to the 12 days of Christmas.
Yes, so cheeky. There's a lot of the panto
Yeah.
performer in me
Yeah.
much appreciated the puns and
Yeah.
the holiday cheeky comments throughout
Mhm.
this entire script for sure.
Love that.
Um, okay, so cast shout outs. Yeah,
Yes. Who
that's
do you
where
want to
we were
shout out in
at.
the cast, Jill?
So Vicky Vendrell,
Mhm.
played by Olivia Sinclair-Brisbane,
Who was just in Rent in
who
Stratford.
was just in Rent. On a later episode we're going to release in the new year, our Stratford
Mhm.
Roundup episode,
Yeah.
I shout Olivia out again. I'm going to
And
do
she
it
was in
again
Richard
here.
II.
Olivia's stunning and
Mhm.
amazing. And honestly, I think one of the best musical theater performers we have on our
Mhm.
stage right
Her
now.
belt's incredible.
Absolutely precision when it comes to
Mhm.
vocals, and
Mhm.
just the tenacity and commitment she puts into
Mhm.
her characters is so enticing and
Mhm.
it's so lovely to watch.
Yep.
Yeah, so Vicky Vandrell is sort of like our villain in this, and
Oh,
she's
villain, full
the
on villain.
yeah, the
They don't mince
dad's
words. The minute she walks out, she's a villain.
yeah. So like the dad's girlfriend and the kids
Yeah.
don't like her. And so she has this sort of wonderful back and forth of wanting to please Ben at all costs, but then getting absolutely frustrated with the kids
Yeah.
and really just menacing and planning. And I just
Mhm.
thought,
Conniving.
yeah,
Yeah.
conniving did such a
Yeah.
stunning job with
Mhm.
that character and kind of
Yeah.
what her role
Mhm.
was in the grand scheme of the story. Yeah, just like has such a brilliant stage presence and
Mhm.
ownership. Yeah, so
Mhm.
definitely
Yeah.
want to shout out Olivia. I also want to shout out AJ Bridal playing
Mhm.
Claire Chris, the oldest daughter of
Mhm.
Ben's kids. Again, such a joy. I've had the wonderful pleasure of listening to AJ's vocals in the My Little Pony new series that's on
Yes, she's part of
Netflix.
that.
She is part of that, and my little niece loves My Little Pony, so I have listened to AJ's voice
Yeah.
quite a bit. And again, like such a fantastic performer, and I just thought
Mhm.
what she did with Claire, again, playing
Mhm.
like this sort of angsty, teenagery book
Yeah.
nerd coming into herself so
Yeah.
strong. And like her acting is absolutely
Yeah.
incredible, like in
And
every scene that she was in.
and shout out to AJ for dealing with a bit of a hair extension.
Yeah,
Uh,
so great.
I don't want to say debacle, but basically her hair extension came out during the big company pre-finale number
Yeah.
of A Christmas Song, and she was trying so hard to get
But you
that
know
hair
what's
back in
so
place, but
funny
she
about that,
owned it.
Matt?
It was great.
Exactly. Like I love, so like again, speaking from like performer
Mhm.
experience, like when an O or like an oopsies happens on stage,
Mhm.
and the fact that like a performer can just like work it into the track, into the
Yeah.
moment until you go off to another wing is always gets like extra bonus points for me in
Yeah.
Chef's Kiss. So like
Yeah.
what's so funny is the reason why she has the ponytail extension was because she went to like have a
A
spa
spa
day
day.
with Vicky,
Yeah.
and Vicky
Yeah.
sort of like
Gave her a
placed this sort
makeover.
of image on top of her that she's not
Mhm.
used to, and one of that being this like extension pony. And just
Yeah.
when it fell off, like there was a second of AJ being like, "Oh my goodness, this fell off my head," but then Claire being like, "Do you see this? Like this is why I don't, like." And then even
Yeah.
she like stashed it under the tree for the rest of the
Yes.
scene. And it
Yes.
was
Yes.
very much a Claire being like, "What am I doing with this? Like, why was this
Yeah.
in my hair the first?" Like,
Yeah.
I just thought it was such a
Mhm.
good cover. Yeah.
Loved it. Loved it.
Who do you want to shout out, Mac?
I want to give a shout out to Sarah Lynn Strange, who played Candace Brown, who is kind of
Yeah.
the longtime personal assistant to Ben. She's just such a warm presence on stage.
Yeah, so good.
And you can tell that Ben depends on her, and she's just so joyful during the holidays. And she it does has a lot of scenes with Vicky, and their dynamic in that first scene with the tie so clearly set up who Vicky was,
Yeah.
with the way she mistreats Candace. It's perfect because once again, it sets up who Candace is and it sets up who Vicky is. They had the best character set up. She's bubbly and it's all about this family. Vicky is not. Vicky
Yeah.
is linearly focused on getting that ring for her endorsement deal at all costs. And so I just thought she was just a warm presence on stage. And,
Definitely.
I'm just reading her bio. She's played a lot of these warm, broad comedy roles. And I think she just naturally fell into this character so
Mhm.
well. Like, for example, she's played the wardrobe in Beauty and the Beast. She was, I think it was Sister Mary Alice or Sister Mary Brown. Anyway, one of
Mhm.
the nuns. So she's
Yep.
played that role before. So once again, she plays that role so well and just owns the space. Like the minute she came out in that green Christmas tree dress, she just
Yeah.
the way she interacted with all those other people at the party, she knew who that character was and kind of was just so there for it and just went for it and just owned it and was just like,
Yep.
yeah, no, this is me. This is me. This is who I am, and I'm just here for it. So, and she was so
Definitely.
cute with Mark Weatherly as Nick. They just had such a cute little relationship there where I was like, oh, so sweet. So,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun there too. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I'll give the cast did great work. I mean, Olivia playing this villain role, she knew that role was going to be a villainous role, and just instead of she kind of trying to shy away from that energy, she just embraced that energy and just
For sure.
went full ham into it. And it was like, nope, I'm the bad guy of this musical. And so,
Yep.
when she comes out in that Christmas attire at the end of Act One to do her Vicky's Lament number, you know, she owns it. She just totally owns it there. And
Yep.
so I double your shout out to her as well. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All
You
right.
Yeah, I just want to pick up because you had mentioned it prior to spoiler set and how
Yes.
you're talking about like the minimalist set. I would love to just continue talking about that a little bit because I loved the set. Like I thought it
Mhm,
was, again, I've always said this on the Cup where I love watching
mhm,
performances where it's
mhm,
really very much
mhm,
the acting and the
mhm.
character work and relationship is the
Yeah,
forefront and everything else is sort of accoutrement to go with
yeah.
it. And this, again, like you said, Mac, like,
Mhm,
yeah, we have to segue
mhm.
between the lodge, between the ice rink, between the business exec
Yeah, yeah.
holiday party, between the
Mhm,
interior of the lodge. And I just thought the navigating and transitions to kind of take us from place to place was so swiftly done.
Yeah.
And having the sort of the chorus members really like light
Mhm.
up those
Yeah.
transitions. And
Yeah.
I know like Devin Michael Brown, like there's a moment, this is just a specific moment, but where like they're striking the sort of panels that were acting like the ice rink. And it's like
Mhm.
he almost like skate ran it off stage. So like
Another
even,
Devon moment that I want to shout out
yeah,
is on the front desk, there's the poinsettia in the tree. And this is when Vicky has started to plot after Holly
yeah,
has taken off, and she knocked over the tree, and of course, some baubles came off the tree. And Devon's the
yeah,
one that has to do be the back end of pushing off that front desk. And he just so gracefully turned
so graceful.
himself
Yeah.
and just swooped him up and took him out. I was like, that
Yeah.
man knows
It
how to
was
do
so
a good
great.
scene transition
Yeah.
without making it look awkward like high schoolers. You're like trying to shove it off and pick it up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he just went it. Yeah, no, those transitions
It
were
was just,
really well
yeah.
done.
And even just like the little bit of set
Mhm.
dress, like at the top of Act Two, like just
Yeah.
hanging a door wreath on our back, sort of
Yes.
like snow globe wall, just so that
Mhm.
we get the sense that this is the front door of the lodge.
Yeah.
We're not in the inside of the lodge. Like
Yeah.
little specificity like that, like really, yeah, lit up the space along with
Agreed.
the performances for sure.
Agreed. And I also we should shout out the choreography by Sarah Vance, who she had a
Yes.
lot of choreography moments to take care of, and sometimes even on roller skates, as there is a skating sequence in this.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
just shout out to her for giving us some great choreography moments, and then also some great callbacks to other holiday moments too. Because at one point they're doing a moment with the garland, and
Yeah.
it becomes a bit like Holiday Inn, where if you know that musical, John, I don't know if you do.
I
Uh,
actually don't, Mac. That one's on the list
it is a
to
classic,
watch.
and in
Yes.
that choreography, there's a very famous moment where they are dancing, but they're also playing jump rope with Christmas lights at the
Mm,
same time. So the fact that they have that little moment in there, I was like, I see what you're
it's a cool
doing,
little nod. Yeah.
Sarah. Like, I gotta know if it was an intentional nod. I'm gonna take it as an intentional nod and go, you know your holiday musicals, and you put that in there as
Right.
a fun little homage there with the dancing with the garlands. So
Yeah.
bravo to that.
Do you know what's a great segue with that? Again, like
Mm,
paying homage to
yes.
what is on the stage. And this is kind of, I guess, segueing us to the book and the music and lyrics. So it's
Yes.
a great little pivot. They're in the book itself. Again, I think this is because Katie and Matt, knowing that they're casting Danielle Wade and AJ
Yeah.
Bridell, these sort of like Canadian musical theater icon ladies over
Mm-hmm.
the last couple years. AJ had played Anne Shirley in Charlottetown Festival,
Yes.
and Danielle Wade won the Over the Rainbow Andrew Lloyd Webber series
Hmm.
many years back and played Dorothy on our
And they
stages.
both competed in that show too.
Yes, they did. So it's neat. In the book, there's a moment where Danielle's character Holly actually said, like, oh, like there's no place like home, like says like a Dorothy reference. And then
Yes.
again, Danielle's character Holly, when she meets Ben's kids in this
Yeah.
story, she kind of meets the twins and then she looks at Claire and she's like, hey, Anne Shirley, like, because AJ really
Yeah.
does look like Anne of Green Gables. I just thought it was like really cute for Katie and
Hmm.
Matt to
Yeah.
recognize and sort of, again, do a little hat tip to the sort of icons that
Hmm.
both Danielle and AJ have been in
Yeah.
our musical career to date. So yeah, so let's talk about the book. And I know I mentioned
Yeah.
about the lyrics, but we can get into both of those things too, Mac. Like what was
Sure. I
your
mean, I'll,
what do
I'll
you think?
definitely say the lyrics and songs are really strong, and so the book is an area I think they could continue to develop because they
Mm,
have a really good story in here. I just think there's some dramaturgical edits that need to happen to bring this story up to the next level, because they're dealing with material that is something I think has something to be really special. Because Jill, you and I both know not everybody has great experiences with the holidays, whether it's
mhm.
broken family. I mean, I know my dad, at 10 years old, his mom passed away right after Christmas because she died in childbirth with
Oh
my
wow,
uncle.
okay.
So, yeah, as you can imagine, the holidays would have been very tough. But I was talking with my dad today because I asked him, like, what do you remember about the holidays after your mom died? And he said, well,
Mhm.
my dad, or my grandpa, his dad, and his aunts and uncles made a concerted effort for my aunt and my dad to have really good holiday memories. And he obviously, didn't have a ton of money. So it was one of those things of it's the little things.
Yep.
there. So I think the idea of making Ben a widower, is something that they could go further with because
Mm.
I like because there's a lot of people in the world who don't have the Hallmark happy holiday feeling. And I
Right.
think what Ben is going through deserves a lot more attention in the fact that he is a grieving husband who has not been able to come back to the place where he met his wife
Yep.
until now. I
Right.
think they could have gone further and developed that dynamic with Charlie, the brother, further as well. Like there's the scene in the attic. I think they should have had a
Mhm.
song there where they talk about the
Right.
grief process. Same thing with him reading the story to the children. I think it was a beautiful moment as well. And I would have loved more of that. And I think developing this angle of the story also would help the character of Vicky. Because
Mhm.
as much as I loved
I was gonna mention that.
her being
Yep.
her being a villain, I felt she was a bit too mustache twirling of a villain. Because even
Mm.
the most Disney villains, the good ones anyway, have layers to them. They're not
Yep.
fully evil. There is something more to them that you can dive into. And I think Vicky's idea of then sell the lodge, cut loose, create new holiday memories, I think it's a good motivation for that character. I just think once again, you play into the fact of she's not a bad person. She is someone who
Yep.
is, trying to move her partner forward. And her method just isn't the method that ultimately is the one that works. It's
Yep.
Holly's method that works better. And I think you could even decrease the villainy in her by having Vicky and Ben still stay together, maybe have Holly end up with Charlie, because they have a
Mhm.
very dynamic of having worked together for years too.
Mm. Mm.
And I think you could do something there where you tweak it a bit more and you give more nuance to this piece because I do think there is a deeper family story here about a family who is processing the grief of a lost loved one, but also going, the holidays don't have to be, you know, stuck in the past or, we're excising everything from the past in order to move forward in the future. I think there's a beautiful
Right.
message in that I think they could further develop. And I think also helping with that would be consolidating some of the cast a bit. So, for
Mm.
example, I think the biggest example would be consolidating the Candace and Nick story and the Claire and Tim story, because I
Right.
think they're so similar, and I think make the Claire and Candace character one person. Take
Mm.
that character and make it into a either like a nanny that Ben has hired for a little while now and she's related and she's got a good connection with the kids, or make the Claire Candace character still Ben's personal assistant, and you just take away the older
Interesting.
sibling altogether, and you just have Candace, the Claire Candace character, be someone who has worked her whole life, she's been part of the thing but never has had any time for her
Mhm.
holiday love, and so she's always searching for that holiday partner of her own because maybe she watched Ben and his wife fall in love during the holidays. She's like, oh, I would want something like that, and sort of Nick walks into her life, and that's something because I do like the
Yeah.
idea of a
Interesting. Yeah.
mature romance. I think that is something sweet to remind people of. You don't always have to be the young hot couple
Right. Right.
that get together. There is something nice about the older couple that does find themselves down there, because there are a lot of people in the world who go, I didn't have that young love in my life,
Mhm.
but I'm 40, 50 years old and I finally put myself out there and found that one person who
Mhm.
is going to be my partner for life. So I
Right.
think they got a lot of good material in here. I think they just need to refine the book a bit more. I don't know, Joe, I'm
Mm.
spewing a lot of
No, you are no,
material
I'm
at you. Like,
picking
what do you
I'm
think?
picking up what you're putting down. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
there were some characters, like for instance, like Vicky's character, I would have liked a little bit more
Mhm.
development there. Like I thought
Mhm.
like what was there, the material that was
Yeah.
there was brilliantly
Yeah.
executed. But yeah, like knowing a little bit of, yeah, where is her soft parts
Yeah.
or her heart, right?
Mhm.
And then yeah, I think again, I loved the puns
Yeah.
and like the funny quippiness
Yeah.
that this piece and the sort of light airedness surface base
Mhm.
of the show.
Mhm.
And again, I'm like a sucker for that sort of tongue in cheek
Yeah.
comedy.
Me
But
too. I
do
love that. That's fun.
I do agree with you. I think like potentially that could have been cut in half and the other time spent on that book, putting it, infusing it more into character work a
Mhm.
little bit more.
Yeah.
Or yeah, like even I don't mind them having like the sort of like B and C plots
Yes.
of Candace and Claire.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was almost, it wasn't that it was too much going on, but it was because there were so many different pots on the stove.
Mhm.
It's like you kind of only got to take a taste of all of them. Whereas,
Correct. Yeah. Like I was
yeah,
wanting
yeah.
more Vicky. Like Vicky would disappear for scenes on end, and I'm like, where's Vicky? Because she's a fascinating character that I wanted more from. Because Olivia was so good in that role
Yeah.
that I was like, I would love more development of her relationship with the twins. Of like, what came first? Was it Vicky being horrible to the kids, and that's why they're
Hmm.
pranking her all the time, or is it the kids are acting out and unfortunately taking it out on Vicky? Because
Yeah.
in like Sound of Music, we hear that the kids love to chase away the nannies because
Hmm.
they're missing their dad because he's off with the Baroness. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
like explore that a bit more, because like it just seems like the kids are just jerks to Vicky because she's Vicky. It's like, well, no,
Yeah.
there should be more to that story here a bit.
I think also because, we're pivoting in this musical to so many different locations and like
Mm-hmm.
the story is clicking along.
Mm-hmm.
For example, through the lens of like Ben and Holly, Danielle Wade, who played our Holly Carmichael, and Liam Tobin, who played Ben and
Yeah.
Chris, their characters have like, because they're sort of like our protagonists in a
Mm-hmm.
way, like the biggest arcs, but because we're constantly pivoting and clicking the
Mm-hmm.
story along, and there are these other subplots happening, it almost felt like, and I think Danielle and Liam did a wonderful job of putting in what I'm about to say, but like each time we saw them, it's like their arc had like clicked a couple steps and
Yeah.
like their character had developed kind of behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
Off
So
stage.
when we
Yeah.
saw them on stage, they were in it. They were lovely and like
Mm-hmm.
executing where their characters should be. But there were some like arc moments that I would have
Yeah.
liked to see. I would have liked
I'll
to
double
see the
down on that.
character
I'll
kind of like, yeah,
yeah.
the character to discover so that it's kind of
Yeah.
not, we're not going it like, so basically by the end, when, and obviously we're in spoiler territory with the walkie talkie,
Mm-hmm.
when they are walkie talkieing each other, trying to find each other
Yeah.
and doing the classic thing of like, I don't know if you can hear me, so I'm going to pretend that you don't, and I'm going to
Yeah.
open up my heart
Yeah.
to you, right? That part almost seemed a tiny bit rushed for me because I was kind of like, oh, right.
Yeah.
They do have to sort of
Get together.
unite. Like, this is where the story is going.
Mm-hmm.
But it just felt like we had jumped so
Yeah.
many paces to get to that moment, you know?
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, like Danielle Wade as Holly has a beautiful ballad in Act Two called "Even If It Breaks My Heart," which comes after kind of the Maria Captain Von Trapp disagreement about children and everything else, and things are said, and they storm off from each other, and Holly decides she's going to pick up and leave because that's her kind of her go-to move in
Mhm.
life at the time. And Vicky kind of also calls her out a bit and says, leave him alone. Like obviously you've done enough. Like you crossed the line with bringing up the dead wife.
Yeah.
But then she gets into the whole thing of even if it breaks my heart, and she's leaving, but then she's also talking about how she loves the guy. And I'm like, okay, hold on. You've had one interaction at the end of Act One where you did like a Christmas song and you were decorating the tree and everything else. And it was sweet. Like, don't get me wrong, it was sweet.
Mhm.
And there was obviously a bit of a meet cute, like doughy eyed look at each other. But as you said, there's a few leaps in there, which is why I think, if you partnered Holly up with Charlie, I would buy that a bit more because in
Mm.
their first scene, we set up that they've had this year. She's there for the holidays. She leaves. He brings her back. So clearly he has an affection for her of some kind because he keeps hiring her back, even though he knows she's going to leave at the end of the holiday season. So I'm like,
Mm.
that's why I'm like, that should do a better job setting up them as a coupling. That I was like, I would not
I
be
do
like mad at
I
that
do kind of like
because you
yes.
brought up an intermission. How like wouldn't it be a fun twist if like in like the second half of the show if Vicky has a change of heart and Ben and Vicky do stay together and she is the Chris misses,
Mm.
like where I'm like that would be a really nice shakeup because you do have three very strong actors in AJ, Danielle, and Olivia there. So I mean, like you could have done something more with that.
Yeah. I do
So
kind
yeah.
of like, though, at the very top, we get scope into the relationship of Holly and Charlie, like they're brothers. I just think that's
Mhm.
very rarely on our
Yeah.
stages. And we need to continue evolving and growing towards how men and women can just be friends on stage.
Absolutely.
And kind of
Absolutely.
be, and it's kind of a neat, like, I really liked that scene that they kind of shared at the top where they exit and Charlie's like, you're like the brother I never had.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Charlie and Ben are brothers. And it was just
Mhm.
a kind of a nice audience sort of peek into, oh, Charlie and Ben
Mhm.
aren't close, right?
Yeah.
Like Holly is closer to Charlie than
Yeah.
his blood sibling
Mhm.
is, you
Yeah.
know? I see what you're saying, Mac, but again, I do love that they're kind of just bros because I feel like our
Yeah,
stages
absolutely.
need more of that for sure.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, I also just think for a holiday Hallmarky musical, it's going to be one of those things of, we'll get
Who's
coupling
gonna
this
end up with
together.
who? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then also it's very, goes back to Rogers and Hammerstein, right? Where they had the A serious relationship plot and they had the B more comedy relief
Hmm.
relationship plot. So I'm like,
Right.
there is stuff in there that they definitely, but once again, it's like, they did Katie and Matthew did such a great job with this. Like,
Hmm.
and that's why I would just love to see it developed further and you can give
Absolutely.
more material just because
Yeah.
you've got something really special here.
And
You know.
definitely, I think like Drayton and like
Mhm.
other big festivals
Yeah.
in the country and
Yeah.
even beyond definitely
Hallmark
will
Channel,
gobble
look
this
at this and
musical
pick it
up.
up and actually do like a TV musical. You could do that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like
Like
shoot up at like
this
Horseshoe
is
Valley or something or Blue Mountain for
right.
this next holiday season.
Yeah, totally. Could make it almost site specific esque by
Oh yeah.
putting it in
Yes.
lodge towns all around
Oh, that'd be
Canada.
great. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, okay. I feel like we've talked a lot about all the
I think
things.
so. I mean, we've gone through the book, we've gone through the songs. I mean, Jill, did you have a favorite song? I don't know. Do we say? Do you have like one that really stood out to you?
Again, they've all kind of been floating in my brain
Mhm.
here and there. I loved Vicky's Lament.
Yes.
Oh,
A
it's just
great way to
partially
end
because
Act
it's
One.
like the costume
Mhm.
and the like candy cane that
Yes.
Olivia uses.
And the
Again,
sexy
just like,
Santas
oh, what a
in
way
leather.
to just like end
Yeah.
Act Two.
Act One.
Sorry, Act One, correct. I also loved The Great Snowy Owl. The
Yeah.
song that Ben sings to the kids. I just thought, okay, it's just was such a cute, like
Mhm.
quirky peek into Ben's relationship with the twins. Like
Yeah.
we see the exterior relationship that, when he's like busy day to day and
Yeah.
the kids are, he's kind of being the best dad that he can be
Mhm.
while having, work calls here, work calls there. And then just to have them kind of have that cozy scene where he's
Mhm.
reading them a story that meant a lot to his wife and
Yeah.
he gets into it. And even like there's a line where Sam is like, no, do the voice. And that's just having worked with kids, like that's so funny and so accurate. Like kids are always
Yeah.
wanting to be like, come on, make it fun, do the voice.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I really like that we got to see that kind of like
Mhm.
spookier, cozier
Yeah.
version of Ben.
Yeah.
And Liam Tobin's voice is just
Yeah.
absolutely stunning.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'd probably say The Great Snowy Owl and Vicky's Lament kind of
Mhm.
cemented
Yeah.
themselves in my brain. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I love Grace New York just because it reminds me of one of my favorite musical theater songs, which is from Secret Garden, the musical, which is "Race You to the Top of the Morning," which is where the dad in that
Mhm.
one also reads a fairy tale to his
Yeah.
sleeping child, and I was like, "Oh, this is so sweet. I love that." I will say, I do enjoy. I did enjoy the song "Capture the Moment," which is where Holly takes the kids out to the Christmas market.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was going through their social media and they had a clip of this song from the workshop. And at one point, a commenter who grew up in Berlin commented on the way Holly says "yeah," and she goes, "She's not saying it right." And Katie meshed back, going, "There could be a point to that," which is, as we know, Holly kind of travels the world and doesn't quite always, stick in one place
Mm.
on to actually learn everything properly. So I enjoyed that little nod in there, and also just the message of get off your phone, live in the moment,
Yeah.
enjoy the moment. Like like in fact, she uses a film camera as such a great little way to remind people of, capture the moment. I mean, the fact we now have Polaroids back, I think is
Yeah.
which is a thing from the '90s that has now come back into style again. I think is a
Yep.
great kind of detail of capturing the moment. I think that's a great message there, and also Vicky's lament. I mean, I feel it comes bit out of nowhere for finale act 1 song. It doesn't quite click with like where we just were and where we're going. But once again, Olivia does such a great job. I
Yeah.
mean, she just owns that moment with villainous ooze.
Yeah,
And
so good.
and in that white and red kind of nighttime sexy attire there with her candy cane and her sexy Santas. Like, it's just one of those show-stopping moments where you just go, "Oh yeah, okay." Clearly
Yeah.
you are having a ball with this and you're just lapping it up and she's
Yeah.
totally owning it and I'm just like, yes to all of it. So, you know,
Yeah.
I love it.
Definitely.
And then also the pun of just the one line of all I want for Christmas is coal, which is a
Yes,
Claire
yeah.
song. Once again, just that great wordplay. You
Yeah.
know, did I feel the whole Claire and Cole storyline worked? Not really, but I loved the play on words, which I'm like, I almost wondered, did that song come first and they built the storyline around that one wordplay? Because it's such a great wordplay of
It
all
is
I
really
want for
great, yeah.
Christmas is coal. And it's
I also wanna,
so
like,
funny.
again, just nod again to HJ Bridell,
Mhm.
like, her acting and her
Mhm.
arc as Claire was perfection.
Mhm.
Like, I really admire and just wanna shout
Yeah.
out, like, the specificity she put into Claire's gestures,
Mhm.
into gobbling
Mhm.
up that
Yeah.
solo song and like really taking us on
Yeah.
this journey. Like
Mhm.
sitting in the audience, the whole audience was engaged, but after that song, they were living their best
Yeah.
life. Like you could
Yes.
feel the hue of the audience being like,
Yes.
wow, that's fantastic. And
Yeah.
just as Claire's arc clicked along,
Mhm.
yeah, what a brilliant performer AJ is. Like again,
Yeah.
the specificity, and she's definitely an actor that understands the blueprint that she has to carve for herself,
Mhm.
however, understands more the blueprint of the story in which
Yeah.
she is to play. And
Mhm.
to me, like I remember talking about this in the interview I did with Dan Musso, like that is paramount. Like that's the
Yeah.
most important, right? Is yes, do all of your homework and build your own character. But at the end of the day,
Mhm.
you are a vehicle inside of a bigger story, inside of a bigger blueprint,
Yes.
and figuring out what puzzle piece you contribute
Yeah.
is where you're going to soar as an individual performer and you're going to make the story soar as well. And I think AJ did that with perfection. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Jill, do we have any
Yeah.
more comments to give, or do you think we are?
No, I think we should leave on the air of perfection and yeah,
Let's do it.
have people
Let's go have a
come
cup of
out
hot
and
chocolate,
see.
Jill.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's go have a nice piping hot chocolate for the holiday season.
Yes, sounds great.
Love that. All right, Jill. Well, where can people find and follow you?
Yeah, so if people want to find and follow me, you can follow my artist Instagram account at jillian.robinson96.
Mhm.
You'll see some covers of songs, some upcoming projects, and
Mhm.
yeah, keep up with all things Jill. And how about yourself, Mac?
People can find follow me at Mackenzie Horner, all social media platforms. You can follow my musical antics over at Before the Downbeat, a musical podcast. I will say we do have one holiday episode in our canon, which is where we covered the Christmas musical, A Christmas Carol, the
Hmm,
musical, which was a lot of fun. It's by Aarons and Flaherty and Alan Menken, so it's got a lot of great hummable tunes in it. So, and there also was a film adaptation with Kelsey Grammer, which was okay, but the stage show, terrific. So check
awesome.
that on out there. And also you can check out the mini series Ron and I are doing right now, where we're going through all of season 1 of Gallivant and all its
Hmm.
funny medieval show tunes in there too. So check that on out too. But yeah, other than that,
Yeah.
everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, hold your loved ones close over the holidays. And if you're having a tough
Yep.
time over the holidays, it's okay. Reach out to, there's a lot of support lines out there. And also maybe we'll get Ryan to put some links to some
Sure.
holiday
Yeah. Yeah.
resources in there too, because the holidays are a tough time for all. And just remember, it's not about the tinsel, the gifts, or the tree. It's about the love you share with whoever you want to share it with. It's
Correct.
the presents are the tinsel on top, as they say. It's
Yeah, I always say presence, like ENCE, is more
Mhm.
important than presence, ENTS. So,
Snaps
yeah.
to that,
And
Jill.
whatever that means, if it's just being present with yourself, if it's being
Hmm.
present with family, friends,
Hmm. Yeah,
just be kind to yourselves throughout this season, folks, for sure.
love that. Love that. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you so much. Stay healthy, stay safe. We have one more episode coming to you before we end off 2023. It's not holiday themed, but it is our last one of 2023. So enjoy these last 2 holiday episodes we've done this week. And we will see you all for our final episode of 2023. All right, everybody.
Happy holidays. Cheers. Bye.